Yo, what's going on? So, 2022 is over and 2023 is here. And you're probably wondering, I want to start making content. What camera should I get if I want to start making content on YouTube? If I want to be a vlogger, if I want to do a video podcast, if I want to do YouTube shorts or TikTok, what's the best camera for you? So, if you see the channel branding, I'm a Sony Sony Super 35mm shooter. I shoot with Sony Super 35 or APS-C based cameras. I like those cameras because first, they're inexpensive. And second, I'm mainly shooting video, okay? And APS-C has been like an industry standard for film for a very long time. So I feel comfortable using APS-C size sensors when I shoot either video or even photos because, again, it's inexpensive. I got into this ecosystem after being on Panasonic, and before that I was on Nikon. Before that I was on Konica Minolta, which essentially is Sony because Sony bought them out. But now I'm back to Sony, and I got to be honest with you, I like the Sony APS-C ecosystem. It's inexpensive. It's user-friendly, and they have a camera for every single type of content creator or consumer/professional out there. And today, I'm going to show you what cameras they got in the APS-C line and what camera might be best for you. Let's get it. So first, I'm going to start with the least expensive camera that I have here, okay? I'm going to start off with the Sony ZV-E10, which comes in at about $800 right now, body only. Now, this camera is an amazing camera, tailored for content creators. Now, this is good for those who take casual photos. I would not take this on a professional shoot. If you're shooting weddings and stuff like this may not be the camera to shoot photos. However, if you're shooting weddings, videography for a wedding, this might be a good B camera for you because this shoots amazing video, especially in 1080p. It shoots great 4K, great autofocus in 4K, but you got to remember that it crops in a little bit on the 4K, and the rolling shutter is not that great. So if you're looking to shoot like fast, movement in a wedding, you're probably going to get some rolling shutter. However, in the 1080p, it's actually pretty good. And what I love about this camera is that it could be also used as a webcam instantly without any third-party software or third-party devices, such as like a HDMI capture card, just by plugging in the USB. Now, granted, it comes in at it goes in and sends a signal at 720p, but if you're doing live streaming or Zoom or anything like that, you don't need anything higher than 720p. It still does great, and it'll get the job done. This camera comes in at about $800, body only. And what I love about this is that it has a flip-out screen. Now, I have this coupled with the Sigma 30mm 1.4, but it comes with a kit lens for like $100 more. This is a great option for new beginners when it comes to content creation. In fact, if anybody was to say, Dre, what camera should I get? I'm just getting into YouTube. I'm just getting into content creation. I want to take some pictures for Instagram, but I don't want to use my phone. I want to go a little bit higher level with it. I would recommend the Sony ZV-E10 for them because this is a great beginner camera for content creators. Now, there's one caveat. It doesn't have a viewfinder. You know how most cameras have a viewfinder? This does not have a viewfinder, but you can shoot images with this. It has a screen, so you really don't need a viewfinder. The only challenge you'll probably fall into is if you are looking to shoot in extreme daylight. You may have to cover the hood, cover the screen a little bit just so that you can get into see the image a little clearer. But nonetheless, this is a great camera if you want to get it. I would recommend this one, especially if you're brand new to content creation. Okay. The next camera I want to show you guys is the camera I've had for a while, the Sony A6600. This is like the hybrid king of the APS-C line. It has a viewfinder, and what I love about this is it has a flip-up screen. So now, if you are a vlogger, right, it has a flip-up screen for you to see yourself. If you're a vlogger, this would probably be my recommendation if you had the money for it. This camera comes in at about $1,400, body only. It does have a image stabilized. It's image stabilized. It has a image stabilized lens or sensor. The Sony ZV-E10 does have active image stabilization, which it crops into the sensor a little bit so that you can, so it automatically stabilizes the image and the video. But this has image stabilization built into the camera. Got to be honest with you, it's not like the best. It's not gimbal-like, so you are going to have to play around with it. But it does have image stabilization. And when you're vlogging, what I like about this is that you know how when people vlog, right? And you ever notice how they look to the left in their videos? It's annoying, right? It's because they're looking at themselves. So if I was to do that right now, I'm looking at myself right now, and I'm using my wife's Sony ZV-E10. So if I look over to the side, right here, you can tell that my eyes go there. But if I look up, it's barely noticeable if I'm looking up. And what I like about the Sony a6600 and the Sony a6400, which is like the little sister to this, or little brother, when you're vlogging, if you want to check your composure real quick, if you look up, the people watching you won't really notice you looking up. They still think you're looking into the camera. So that's what I like about this. But this takes great images with pictures. It also takes great video. This has the same sensor as this. So the ZV-E10 and the Sony a6600 both have the same exact sensor inside. This does come with a little more features like the image stabilization, the active shot, and stuff like that. But pretty much you can do the same thing with both of these cameras. Mind you, this is almost $500 cheaper than this one, $600 cheaper than this one. But this one has a viewfinder, right? If you want to take photos. If you are more of a professional style photographer, or you want to do more professional photography, or you're looking to make money doing photography, and you don't want to spend the money on a full frame Sony body, you can get the a6600 and take amazing professional photos with this camera. This is also great if you are looking to just take photos of your family. If you want to do videos, a lot of wedding videographers use the a6600 in wedding videography. Okay, there's a lot of music video shot with this camera as well. This is also a great buy if you're looking to get into the Sony ecosystem. It's like the best of both worlds. Takes great photos, takes great videos, and coupled with the right lens. This is now the Tamron 11-20 2.8, but coupled with the right, which is like the perfect vlogging lens. I don't care what people say. This is the perfect vlogging lens. Not that expensive, but we're not talking about Tamron. We're talking about Sony cameras. We'll talk about Tamron later. This camera right here is probably the camera to get if you're looking to do more photography than you are doing video. If you're looking to do video, and mainly video, get the Sony ZV-E10. This is also weather sealed. So there's some weather sealing inside here. So if you are shooting out in the rain, this is not waterproof. So you don't want to be out in the pouring rain shooting because water's going to get into the camera. But like, let's say if you're in a mist somewhere, or if you're on the beach somewhere, this has weather resistance. So you're less likely to get sand. It's possible still. So don't say, Dre, you said you wasn't going to get any water or sand. It's still possible, depending on how you use it. But it's weather sealed, so it has sealing around the cap. So you're less likely to get elements inside to mess up your sensor. So this is a great camera if you're looking to do more photography than videography. If you're doing videography and you're not really making money, just doing like it for YouTube and stuff, especially if you're a beginner, get the Sony ZV-E10. But if you're looking to get into photography and get serious about photography, go for the Sony a6600. Spend the extra money. You will not regret it. And the last camera in this that I'm going to be talking about, and before I go here, some honorable mentions. We have the Sony a6100, which is the baseline Sony APS-C camera. I've never used that camera. I heard it's a great camera for beginners. But now that you have the Sony ZV-E10, I wouldn't even recommend that camera. I would say just go for the a6400, which I recently had, but I traded that in along with another a6600 that I owned for this camera right here. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about that right after I say this. The Sony a6400 is a great camera. It's essentially the a6600 without image stabilization built in. That's pretty much what it is. It doesn't have an image stabilized sensor. So outside of that, it's almost the exact same camera as the Sony a6600, except for the fact that the Sony a6400 takes the lower model battery. The Sony a6600 has a better battery that you can use for it. So you also want to take that into consideration. The Sony ZV-E10 takes the same battery as the Sony a6400. Let me show you that battery if I can get this out with the cage. It's been a while since I opened this battery. You're gonna have to take my word for it. It's not coming out. Why? What's going on? I've never had this problem. All right, either way. Now for the Sony APS-C Super 35 Beast. I traded in two of my favorite cameras for this bad boy. The Sony FX30. This right here is the video king of the Sony Super 35 / APS-C line. The Sony ZV-E10 is a cinema line camera. It's the baby brother or the like same size brother, but little. It's like the Sony FX3, except it has APS-C Super 35 sensor in it instead of a full frame sensor. Does everything that does. It has the updated menu. This thing, I've been shooting with this for the past a month and a half, and I love this camera. This has actually been my replacement. I replaced sort of my ZV-E10 for this. This goes everywhere with me. What I like about this is that it's strictly a Sony. It's made particularly for serious video shooters, right? Serious video shooters. And it does have some photo capabilities. You can take one photo at a time, which is good. So you can take photos with this. And if you're not like out there taking professional photos or shooting like cars, fast moving cars or wildlife that's moving really fast, if you're just, shooting maybe a portrait or a headshot of somebody, this is a good camera to use. So don't get it twisted. Although it's made with video creation first, it does have features to take photos with it. So, but you won't want to get this camera to take photos. I would recommend getting the Sony a6600. But if you're looking to just get into some serious video, amazing slow motion, improved rolling shutter, all of that, this is the camera to get if you're looking to get serious. This camera comes in at about $1,800 body only. Now, what I like about the APS-C ecosystem, all of these cameras, is that the lenses that it comes with, very inexpensive. And there's a lot of third-party lenses such as Tamron, which I use, Sigma, which I use, Viltrox, which I haven't used yet. I'm looking to get into that also, and including all the lenses that come with the Sony ecosystem, the lenses that Sony make. And that includes the E mount and the EF mount. That means that the APS-C lenses will fit on these cameras, as well as the full frame lenses. And which is why I always tell people, don't go full frame because of all the hype. You have everybody from Peter McKinnon to Matty Hapoya and a few others who go out there and they love their full frame cameras. By all means, if you got the money for a full frame camera, go at it. But if you don't really care about shooting at night and need that more improved low light experience, going APS-C will not steer you wrong. You would love these cameras. If you can control, especially if you can control the lighting. And if you are a serious videographer or you're looking to get into serious videography, you want to be able to control as much as you can, including the lighting. So you don't want to just go out there and shoot. Sometimes you're going to have to. But if you're looking to really get into serious videography, composing your shots properly, getting the lighting correct, this is the camera to get, the Sony FX30. The Sony FX3 is about $4,000, I'm thinking. I don't remember the exact price. I'll leave it in the description below. But this comes in at just under $1,800 body only. So you can get two FX30s for the price of one FX3 and still come out on top because you got two amazing cinema line cameras. So this is a great camera. And what I like is that it's a budget-friendly camera for serious video shooters. Most people will use it as a B camera for the FX30 or the FX9 for Sony. But if you are an APS-C user, this would definitely suffice as your A cam. So you're not going to be disappointed by getting this camera. I've been using it with all my lenses. I've used it with my Tamron 17-70, which is on there now, my Tamron 11-20 2.8, my Sigma 30mm 1.4, as well as my Sigma 16mm, which is on my wife's ZV-E10 right now. She's got the white ZV-E10, which is also nice about the ZV-E10. If you are a content creator and you are concerned about aesthetics and you don't like the really black look, you can go for the white version of the Sony ZV-E10. And if you notice, all of these have the small rig cages on it, and this is not sponsored by Small Rig, but I always recommend that you buy a cage for your camera. This is my studio. This pretty much stays in my studio, so I don't really move this, so it doesn't have a full cage. But I would always recommend getting a cage. Like I had to get a cage for this bad boy. All right, because yeah, I'm going to be doing a video soon on what I do to rig this up. So stay tuned for that. But listen, there are 3 amazing cameras that you can get in 2023 on the Sony ecosystem and not have to break the bank. You can start off with the Sony ZV-E10. This is for new content creators, people who are new to YouTube, new to TikTok and Instagram, and they want to upgrade camera. They don't want to use their phone, but they want to get a nice mirrorless camera. The Sony ZV-E10 is the one to get, especially since it has the flip screen, the swivel screen. All right, it has picture profiles and all of that. Okay, this is the camera to get. Plus, it has built-in digital stabilization, image stabilization, which a little bit of crop. But again, this will not steer you wrong. But if you're looking to do more professional style consumer pro photography and videography, I would say go for the Sony a6600. It has a viewfinder. It has a flip up screen. Especially if you're a vlogger, you'll like that. Okay. And yeah, this comes in at about $1,400. But if you're looking to make movies, son, like you're looking to make like epic films, right? You want to do butter smooth, Peter McKinnon, Matty Hapoya, slow motion and all that. The Sony ZV-E10, the Sony FX30 is the one to get. This is the one to get. Just under about $1,800, body only. And you can get a lens for cheap. Use lenses for cheap. I always recommend go use for your lenses. You will not be disappointed. So leave a comment down below. If you had your choice, which one would you get? Would you go for the Sony ZV-E10, the Sony a6600, or the big dog, the Sony FX30? Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have not done so yet, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. If you know anybody that's in the market for a camera, send them this video. Hopefully it's informational. I didn't want to go too deep into specs. You guys can Google that or YouTube that. There's so many videos out there about the specs. I just wanted to go over the actual usability of these cameras. And either way, you will not be steered wrong. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until the next video, I'm out. Peace.